Hello and welcome back to the Moment of Truth podcast. I am beyond excited to be talking with you all again. This is going to be a really beautiful episode with a lot of amazing reflection because over this past week has been such a trial and a tribulation, but at the end of it all is always a blessing because at the end of the day, I am learning something new and I am growing into a new person each day. So, I am so excited to get to share what my week has been like and some of the wisdom that I've garnered from it. And I hope that hopefully you'll be able to get some beautiful wisdom into your life, and I'll be able to get some of it from your comments, from your responses, because those bring me so much joy whenever I get to read them about how this podcast is affecting you and how it is bringing something positive into your life, because that's all I ever really want to do, if I'm going to be truly honest. I just want to create more and more of a positive impact within my community. And the fact that I get to do this and the fact that I get to sit here with you all is just beyond a blessing. I couldn't ask for more. And so, yeah, let's dive right on in and let's honestly begin again with a positive affirmation. Today, we're going to begin by repeat after me. Every day is another opportunity for me to get to know myself more deeply. To understand how best to pursue my happiness and what I want for my life. I do not know everything about myself, and that is the beautiful work I get to do each day with myself. I am someone worthy of getting to know, and I'm going to be the first one to get to know the flawless beauty that is me. The light that shines in me is powerful and beautiful, but it always shines inward out. And it can't shine until I see it first. I hope that you felt the amount of positive energy that flows through you when you just recite those words out loud and you mean it. Because it's something very, very powerful about affirming the energy and the love and the power that is in our words. So every single time you get the opportunity, I would fully recommend you just truly speak about what you want, how you feel, and what your goals are, because just putting them into the universe, you'd be surprised the impact that that has of actually truly manifesting what you want. But let's get back into the show now and let's get into roses and thorns. And I was thinking about a lot of different things that I could cover with this. And then on Christmas Eve, my beautiful, dearly loved grandmother passed away, Daisy Bell Johnson. And so that has been very all encompassing, as you would probably expect, in terms of emotional energy and actual physical energy as well. And so that obviously is the rose and the thorn this week, simply because there is something about death that will consistently always trigger reflection, but on top of it, trigger collective reflection, I believe. So, what I'm talking about here is me and my mom going down memory lane about beautiful memories with my grandmother, and it's the true rose and the thorn, mainly because when you go down memory lane, it really allows you to not only analyze the amount of growth that you have had with a person, but as well the lack of growth. And for me, I immediately began to really think about all the depths and the nuances of my relationship with my grandmother and my relationship with my mom, and how I so badly want to break generational curses and generational traumas, but at the same time, I truly want to exemplify what the tradition in being a black woman in my family means. And so I always reflect. And so reflecting with my mom about stories of her growing up with my grandmother, and then as well what it was like for me to grow up with her, it was really, really touching. And it makes me always sad whenever I think about the fact that these are things we could have been doing while my grandmother was still here. But I also think that that is what death lends us as always a lesson, because we always want to look back and we always want to remember the times with the person for good or for bad. And I think that is what death teaches us in the end, because we don't ever get to figure out what's on the other side of it until we pass away ourselves. But I think that something that is always seed sown from death is getting to reflect, getting to see how far we've come and how far we have still to go. Because immediately after the passing away of my grandmother, it was the first time in my life that I had someone in my close family pass away. I've never really experienced like a death in my close family. And so for me, it was the first time. But because of my grandmother's declining health, I've kind of mentally prepared for it for a while now. And so I realized that a large portion of what I was feeling called to do was just support my mother, because for her, she was losing her mother. And for me, as someone who had mentally prepared for this, because she had been, my grandmother's health had been declining for about 10 years now. So for me, I was like, okay, this is a thing that I know I'm going to have to tackle one day. So mentally just prepare yourself for it. And so it still is very emotionally upsetting for me and draining, but I had the wherewithal to still be able to be with my mom emotionally as much as I could, to make sure that she was taking care of herself and she was actually allowing herself to feel and grieve and be who she is and process it all honestly, because I have no idea what that is like to lose your mom until I lose my mom. And so I'm just, yeah, I'm thankful for the fact that I see the wisdom that I have, and I see the love that I have in my heart, and I know that that is all coming from my grandmother, because the love that my mom shows me is only an example of the love that my grandmother showed her. And so that's how I love to think about families, is because so much of the trauma and so much of the love is just things that have been cycled within the family. Yes, we all experience traumas outside of the family, but so much of our behavior is rooted in what happens in those moments when we are growing up with our families, that that's truly the real derivative of where most of our cyclical generational trauma comes from. And so for me, it's so important to continuously be breaking that down and thinking about that, because I love who I am and I have to ask myself, where does that love come from? Where does all the self hatred that I have come from, in terms of like things that you were taught to dislike about yourself in your household, that your parents were taught to dislike about themselves in their households, and so on and so forth, back into however far you go. Because I always have to remember as well that as a black trans person, my lineage roots back to enslavement. And so even thinking about the fact of like, as a black person, so much of the traumas or the hypersecurity around being raised as a black kid is only built out of self-preservation, and the fact that as a black person we don't get second, third, or fourth chances like everybody else does. We get one shot, and honestly it could end with a bullet. And so for me, I consistently have so many balls to juggle in my head when I think about family, and why our family is the way it is, and why I grew up the way I grew up and everything. And so I think that I know I'm going to be reflecting more in terms of like actually rooting things back deeply and thinking about key memories with people, because it wasn't until this that I actually had the time to truly sit down and really go over like stories with my mom that were really close to her heart with her about her mom. And that was very, very beautiful for me, because to find what the memories are that is so deeply held from my mom is something that's like, it's beautiful to hear. To hear of the memories that my mom holds close about her mother is the same way that I think about how my mom defended me being a queen for Halloween as a little kid, as just a little trans kid who wanted to be me, and thinking about the times where raised her into the beautiful woman that she was going to be in order to have me and raise me into the beautiful woman that I am. It just, it makes me so happy. It makes me so happy to see that I can look back at generations of my family and be able to see strength, resilience, love, support, and as well trauma, but trauma that we work through, that we build on, that we try to heal. My family is a family of people who give up their lives in order to take care of one another, in order to take care of a bedridden loved one. And that is something that I'm very proud to say is in my legacy. And I'm so thankful that my grandmother started this train in motion with creating her own family and being a strong, amazing, amazing black woman that like waterfalled into me being born and me being the amazing boss ass black trans woman that I am. I'm so thankful. And I guarantee that I won't take these moments of life that we spend with other people lightly. And I'm already a person who, if you ask anyone who knows me, I'm already the most sentimental, emotional, deep person about every single thing, because for me, every single moment of your life is something you can learn from and that you need to be cherishing, for better or worse, simply because it's adding to who you are, it's adding to your memories, and it's adding to the person that you are. So when you look back in 10 years and you're like, oh my God, I see how this trauma impacted my behavior and I didn't even realize it. You can be realizing it. You just have to be processing it in the moment. Actually process things and be like, no, this is really hurting me, and acknowledge it and take that in and deal with it. And so I think that that's only going to grow in me, to be real, mainly because I want to try to find as much depth, as much wisdom, as much experience in my life that I possibly can. And if that means experiencing an experience through someone else's eyes, that's just as good for me. And that's what happens when you sit down and you listen and you talk to people and have conversations. You are really just sharing your experiences. It's I was literally about to make a very weird analogy. I was going to be like, "Oh yeah, it's like the social media of the past, you know? We're going to tell stories and get anecdotes and get analogies and shit like that, you know?" And so just don't take any moment for granted. Truly appreciate the people around you and get the opportunity to truly learn their wisdom and their walk of life and their experience, because it's shoes you can never walk in, because you'll only be your beautiful badass self and everybody else can only be their beautiful badass selves. So we don't know what it's like to be that beautiful badass person, but you can understand a little bit of it by talking to them and empathizing. And so that's what I'm going to be doing even more so, especially since I'm sure that Corona has taught a lot of people that lesson. But as well, on top of it, this losing someone this close to me and someone who I have such a varied history with. I love my grandmother so much and I'm going to miss her so deeply. And she was the last grandparent that I had who was still alive. And so for me, I'm going to always cherish all the memories. And one of my favorite memories of my grandmother is it was a Thanksgiving when I was like 8, and she came up to where we were living in Camden, New Jersey. And it was me, my two brothers, my dad, my mom, and my grandmother. And so we're all in the house. My brothers are doing something. They're off playing some games or something. My dad's doing something. I was always with my mom, just like under her foot, just like watching what she was doing, just trying to help out. And I never will forget, I was standing in the living room looking into the kitchen. And as I'm looking into the kitchen, I see my grandmother trying to carry this like 20-pound turkey. It was a big one because we all ate. We love to eat. We're an eating family. And so this big ass turkey, and she is trying to get it into the oven, or she is trying to baste or do something, but the oven door is open, so there's heat coming out. It's hot, it's humid, there's a turkey, all of this stuff. And she is just wobbling. Like, you know that moment where you just see somebody sneeze and you like, I don't know how long they're gonna last. Like they're doing the chicken knees, like their necks are just wobbly. It looked like that real rickety table in the corner of every single Brooklyn coffee shop. That one that as soon as you sit your coffee on, half of it is spilled because it's rickety. That type of wobbly. And so her knees are wobbly, and as I'm standing there, I have the perfect front row view of her slowly dropping grease out the sides of it because she's so wobbly. And I will never, as long as I live, forget that by the time she and her wobbly knees made it over to the oven, half of the oil was out of that turkey, and she was trying not to slip on the kitchen floor because she was dropping oil and grease on the ground. It was hysterical. She didn't fall or nothing. But that is one of my favorite memories of her. And so, R.I.P. Daisy, rest in peace. I love her so much. She is so many memories. And so that is my rose and my thorn this week. And I hope that me processing a little bit of that with you all is something that can helpfully get you all through something you're going through in the past, the future, or the present. But I think it is time that we get into our interview. I'm so excited and I'm so honored to introduce not only a person who I love so much because of their performances, but I also love because of who they are as a person. They are kind, they are sweet, and on top of it, they are extremely talented. So get ready for the one and the only Sweaty Eddie. I'm so excited to have you here, Sweaty Eddie. It is. Literally, you're like one of the first people that I knew I needed to interview when it came to like creating this podcast, because I can see your silhouette and I feel your energy. The whole package of Sweaty Eddie in and out of drag is one that is not only just beautiful and spectacular, but also kind and amazingly entertaining. Like,
Oh my God.
you just being you. Oh, my brain just was just like, you would be amazing on Big Brother. 24-hour cameras on you. Iconic. This is also the first episode that I'm recording post-election results now, officially.
Oh wow. Yeah, what, by 2 hours? 3 hours?
Exactly. Who could have planned that on the 5th day of the election we find out what happened?
Than I thought, than I was expecting, but
How are you doing?
I just I didn't expect to feel like a single. I mean, I wouldn't say I feel like a single emotion, but it feels a little simpler than I was expecting it to feel, maybe just in this moment. And it feels like there's still many things that I don't want to, hinge any kind of expectations on.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just really nice to. I was made aware of it by my everyone yelling out their windows, and then I have a neighbor who plays the trumpet, or was doing that during the 7 o'clock cheer early in quarantine, and the trumpet came back, and I was like, I know something's going on. So then I had immediately saw a barrage of.
Twitter told me first. Got a notification that Joe Biden has been the determined winner of this election. The moment I saw it, I was just like, this is the most 2020 thing that this just came through Twitter for me. Like,
are you seeing in your feed prior to that?
Oh, it's literally nothing but memes of like Nevada counting. The first day, I was just like, okay, this is kind of funny. The second day, I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm tired of this. Third day, I was like, I'm tired of this. Fourth day, I got to chuckle again.
You do the joke long enough, it gets funny again.
By the fourth day, it got campy. And then today, it being the fifth day, I'm like, oh, well, okay. Okay, so this is the mood. Okay, category is we got a winner. I think that 2020 has felt like 5 years. What is your plan for the rest of November?
I really went a little harder than I was expecting for October with overbooking jobs and things. So
Yes.
so I'm hoping to have like a few moments to sit with my thoughts.
Yes. This is the prime time to truly self-reflect and honestly unpack some things with yourself, because you never get so much time to actually be with yourself without like the expectation of getting something done. And so I just finished unpacking a lot of baggage that I had, healing some childhood traumas. It's nice.
Love to hear that.
And well, actually, I was thinking about my childhood, and I started to imagine you as a child. And then I was like, I don't even know where you're from.
From Massachusetts.
Oh God.
Surprising.
Oh God. Not Massachusetts. Are you one of the? I'm from right outside of Boston.
It's true.
I went to Emerson in Boston.
I knew that.
So I have a lot of experience with Bostonians.
Okay.
Where in Massachusetts?
Like right next to Salem, the which city? If you're, I don't know how familiar.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
What was that like growing up there?
it's it was a lot of things that I have a lot of conflicting feelings about, but that are sort of hard to separate from my own personal journey because it's associated so many things.
Oh yes.
I transition um, in a lot of capacities in my 30s, and so it's been
Hmm.
like a very bizarre thing to sort of like reconcile the past and like where I fit, and like I haven't really been back since that, and so
Hmm.
there was definitely like a point in time where I was like, I'm never gonna do any kind of retracing of my past in that way, and like having associated
Hmm.
with a lot of like being deeply closeted in a lot of capacities, and like telling
Yes.
myself all these ideas about it, but then also being like, you know what, a lot of that is within me, and that doesn't need to define whether I can have a relationship with where I'm from or not. I don't
That just
know.
hit so hard. That just hit so hard in a really good way because I grew up like until the age of 10 in southern New Jersey, in Camden, New
I
Jersey.
didn't know that.
And then we moved to DC when my dad left. And
Okay.
it was like one of those things where I can't even really say I've been back to DC since like I've started to like truly understand my transness. And like I've gone back and seen like my mom and everything, but that's like not really going back there and like
Yeah,
re-experiencing my like school and everything like that. And I
totally.
was recently just thinking about the fact that for like so many trans people that I know, there's always a moment of like, well, I'm good. I'm just gonna like,
Yeah.
this is all amazing right here, right now. I don't need to go
Yeah.
back. That chapter is closed. And it's like, as of recently, I've even been like thinking, we're like, if my high school did a like high school reunion, like, of course not this year or anything with Corona, but like
Right.
in the like later years, if they had a reunion, I would love to go back as my beautiful trans self and stunt on everybody. I would, of course, be the flyest person there. Every trans person who goes back is like the flyest motherfucker because you truly understand yourself. Most of the trans people that I know, we left where it was because people weren't understanding of an identity other than their own. And so for me, when I go back, I imagine most of the people will not have changed that much in terms of their
Yeah.
thinking. And I'm just only going to be even flyer than imaginable because all of y'all are still repressed. Y'all are still not open with your own queerness.
Real.
I'm now so excited about the idea and the prospect of going back because I'm so confident and loving of who I am now.
And I love that. I definitely very recently starting to come into that energy, but I didn't go to my 10-year college reunion. I was only a few months into like being out
Mm-hmm.
and transitioning in the way that that looked for me, and like
Mm.
I just did not have the like I was like I have faith that I will get to that place where I will be emanating some sense of
Mm.
like, even if people can't really like validate or see where I'm at, that they'll at least be like, "Oh wow, okay, well you seem like you're in a new place. I was not in that place yet." And
Oh, trust. I was in it too. I was in it too.
you just filled me with a lot of optimism that that might one day be.
It might happen, and if it doesn't, that's still just as great. It really is just about truly finding power in your own journey. You know what is right for you. And if your
Yeah.
journey means not going back and closing that chapter for good and putting a lock on that motherfucking journal and never opening it ever again, that is beautiful. Stand in it and be proud of it because you did
Yeah.
what you needed to do in order to be the healthiest, best version of you. If that means going back, then that is absolutely fucking amazing too. And you can go and stunt on everybody. If not, you're still stunting from a distance. Either way, we're stunting.
That's knowing how long it was going to take, it would have been maybe harder to have gone through it all. But I'm just here.
How was it transitioning in your
Oh
30s?
my god, it was very strange.
Mm-hmm. Because
Uh,
I can only imagine because it, if of course everybody's transition feels strange just because like who's transitioned before, but like
yeah. it's sort of this like thing where like at this point in time I'm like seeing how circular everything has been, and like look back at feel like more aligned with my like how I was as like a young person,
Mm-hmm.
like a young person, but like the journey of how to like figure out how to be an adult in the world like took me to some that both like aligned with in like a really strange way, but also felt so far less less abstractly, I guess. I like up until the moment that I went to the center had like an like open like trans mask
Yes,
meeting, and
yes.
I saw like the most like flamboyant femme like
Yes.
trans boy
Mm-hmm.
like came up to me and told me that he liked my shirt, and he was just like wearing like a crop top, and like I could see he had
Oh,
had top surgery, and I was like they let you do
yes. Oh my.
that. And like I think up until that moment I like had just always had such confusion around my relationship to femininity,
Mm-hmm.
and even into the moments of being like, um, oh, I I don't have to be a woman anymore. I don't have to do this anymore, and like and then immediately going into I guess I have to throw away all the things that I like makeup and like all these
Mm.
clothes that I like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and sort of really just like um um I don't know, just like a lot of confusion around how to like reconcile things that had felt euphoric and like grounding to me,
Mm-hmm.
that were also so far away from how I understood myself. And like
Mm-hmm.
so I moved to New York for a job when I was 22. My first time working in an office that was like very like
What year?
Nate. Still president.
You were
Oh boy.
actually very, very, very youthful looking. So literally, I was like, "Wait, hold up." We're literally talking about you transitioning in your 30s, and I was like, "Wait, did they
I know I have
did they just turn 30?"
alert. I will be 35 in 2 months.
Congratulations. That is an achievement as a trans person. You better work. You
Yeah,
better
you
work.
know,
Mm.
I have a relationship to time, I
Mm-hmm.
think, also because like it's also like the more that I go into like medically transitioning, like the younger people read me, which is also
I love
it's
it.
like I'm just like this is like a cosmic, I suppose, that I'm like I'm given. I feel like I've been given some extra time to like figure out how to
Yes.
get my shit
That's the
together.
mood. 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 You're saying you were working in an office for the first time. 2008. Yes.
So I a job in yeah in children's television.
Yes.
I was like so. I was like it was just like a moment of like I have to figure out how to dress like an adult. I have to figure out how to like present myself as an adult, and to me like that was like a very gendered thing
Mm-hmm.
of like I was like what do women wear like I mean previously I had just like I would be walking around wearing like hot pants and like tights and like you know
Oh, yes.
definitely like trying to make sense of myself as like a woman, but it was like not in a like I don't know, the jobs that I had before that did
You,
not care how I dressed, and so like
you could mix and match. You could literally, you could.
yeah, I was like I was definitely doing something like I was just sort of like whatever like young slut energy. Really like weirdo femme was sort of like my gender, like very much like everyone treats me like I'm a little girl. I like looked a lot younger than I was.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had long hair. Like I
Mm.
like was definitely felt like very confused about how to interact with like straight men and like just like how people treated me, received me, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I'm just gonna like wear bright colors and do whatever I don't know. And
I
like
love it.
and then but like trying to figure out how to any kind of confidence as like an adult that was gonna present as someone that was like a
Mm.
serious person
Oh,
was
yes.
like a total uh confusing moment for me. And
Ooh.
I was like oh I can wear a pencil skirt and I can get a button down shirt and I can tuck it in and wear a little belt,
Ooh.
and I was like this works. I
You
seem to be
Project Runway it. You better work. You better work.
In retrospect, it was really like it was a little
All of the
sloppy.
2000s was rough for fashion. All of the
That's
2000s.
yes, just like the thick belt.
It,
I don't even know what
I
that.
got very lucky in terms of falling into doing theater. And like,
Mm.
I originally was going to go into international relations. And
Oh my goodness.
I know, I wanted to like try to study and become like a
But that's
diplomat or something.
amazing.
Oh, that would have been cute, but like, not really because,
And you don't know what's going to transpire.
oh, I'm never going to do that. I'm never. I was gonna go into international relations because I was like, I know I can travel because I just knew I didn't want to be where I was because I knew I couldn't be my full self. I was doing theater in high school, and then the person who was a grade above me went to Emerson and came back and was like, Julia, you can do this. Literally,
Oh my
you can
God.
easily get in. And until then, I never even thought theater was a career. And I like looked into it and I was like, that seems great. And it's like an LGBTQ friendly school. That'll be fun. And so I like applied, got in. It immediately made me having to figure out what to wear as like an adult who was going into spaces, like what I was going to do. It made it so much easier because for theater, it's just like, it's such a, you just wear what you need to do to get done because.
Yeah, the tech outfit.
Exactly. You just gotta wear closed-toed shoes.
Yeah.
You gotta wear some jeans or some pants or something, and wear a shirt. Like it's like okay, great, awesome. I don't even have to worry about this. And then by the time I started to like get into the design aspect of it, and I was like the designer walking in, it was the first time that it clicked to me that being an artist allowed me the leeway to do whatever I wanted in this society and present however I wanted.
And that people praise you for it.
Exactly.
I'm learning that this year. Like I just learned that just like getting these jobs where I don't feel like I have to be like tone it down is like such a new thing for me. And like it feels I'm like, can this be real that like I'm like working like I'm used to being like viewed as an employee and like now I'm like high like contract work, you know, is few and far between and not predictable in any kind of way, but like being someone that they hire for to be an artist is like such a different dynamic. Yes. And I was like, why? I didn't know this was were people always doing this.
Literally.
I was like reading the employee handbook being like, how do I act like
that part. Also, like I stumbled into the best like okay, I need a job to just like get some money. Like, you know, like the artist just like, this is my hustle that I do in order to like actually just pay my rent. And I worked at an escape the room. And
oh my God.
Oh yes. Oh, I was iconic, of course. I will motherfucking say, I slayed that shit the house down. When I tell you, I got so many people there who to just have a good time because if there's one thing I can make a motherfucker do, it's have a good time. You and Cake Boys, like, I cannot tell you the artistry that you all produce. Like, it is next level entertainment, but also next level inclusion. And on top of it, next level, what's the word? It's, empowerment, next level empowerment.
Oh my God. I love that.
It feels like what drag reality competition shows try to do in terms of like, okay, we're going to empower these people, but like also fight. You, Richard Dukakis, like you two together elevate your cast and you allow them to shine, but as well be a whole team and a cast. I really want to know, how did you two come up with Cake Boys? Where did the inception begin? The inception of the conception.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. I just like I like competitions really stress me out, and it's just like I know that I know that there are people who can like hold all of the things and be able to compartmentalize and still like, you know, see the beauty in what that brings, but it just like it's just like not what I want to see from like artists and like queer people. Like I don't want to see competition. I don't want to give anyone a restriction. I want like a complete open-ended thing and like see what people, you know, fill that with. But But yeah, it's Richard and Muscles Monty, and
Yes.
then Scenario and Gem and
Yes.
Nemesis, and a bunch of people are sort of our um, recurring.
We love a recurring cast.
Yeah, I definitely like, it sort of came out of wanting um, more space for kings, but also I think more space for like a really specific like vibe of um, drag art, comedy,
Mm-hmm.
entertainment, that sort of um, there's definitely like more like narrative or like character based, but also like had space for people to really just sort of like bring whatever they bring to drag that doesn't fit
Mm-hmm.
into like, you know uh, a normal lip sync number, I guess.
The binary of drag numbers.
Yeah, but like, which is, not to um
Shade or
that there,
anything.
yeah.
I know exactly what
it
you
was it
mean.
was sort of like more like to create like a more of a narrative show environment,
Mm-hmm.
that was sort of more of a not sketch show, although I guess we like I kind of accidentally made a horror movie, and which was really,
I love that you accidentally made a horror movie.
if I had known the scope of what we were going for, I think we would have shot it down before doing it. So I'm glad that we. I don't
You
know.
went
It's like this.
along.
It's that funny thing about drag where it's like, and you probably feel this from like having a more like formal theater background, is like you kind of go into it expecting to cut corners, and that's kind of like the nature of it.
Yep.
And so it allows you to be more like free and also more ambitious in what you're
Mm-hmm.
doing, and then your audience is sort of like has like kind of like a winking understanding of what it's supposed to be, so people aren't disappointed at like questionable production values, or like
Yes.
just sort of going with you on it. It's sort of like somewhere in between like that like improv space where you don't have any production value, that it's like all well just the acting, but like you're bringing like
Mm-hmm.
suggestive bits of things, and you can kind of just sort of like follow along with what it's going to be. But like then doing that in like a for a Twitch show, it's like, okay, we're straight up making a movie now. I didn't even really intend to do that.
Because I've seen like Twitch shows, I've seen compilation performances, I've seen like everything possible. But yours is, it's like, it's a multimedia, it's multi-genre. Your animations, the stories you tell, the recordings, the visuals, the stories, because it's like some of those interludes of like you and Richard, I'm like, this in and of itself is a number. This is like, and it's just a transit. It's like Beyonce. It's like, you know how Beyonce will add a transition
Yeah.
in, and all of a sudden you're like, is this?
It's
Can you
this short
release
film.
this too? Exactly. It's like, I want you to release this so I can buy it too. You give such a well-rounded production, but on top of it, a production that always has a message behind it. And even whether that message is like, have a fucking good time, or like, mind your own fucking business, or like whatever it may be, it's always necessary, and it's always powerful. How long have you been doing drag for?
I think 3 years. Um, and I've been doing drag for 2 weeks longer than I've been transitioning.
That's iconic.
Which is to say that when I came out to people, they were like, "Wait, so is Sweaty Eddie? Is that you? Was that what you're trying to tell me?"
A lot of things came together in my transness the first time you do drag.
I know. It just made me like I like I always say, like I wish that like straight people and cis people thought about their gender more, and like and
Mm-hmm.
being trans or genderqueer or anywhere in deviating from the norm is like pathologized to such a degree, when it's like, no, we're all traumatized by gender. Like we all have a
Exactly.
relationship to it. We all have euphoria from things, and like some
Yep.
of those things might be more like in line with the like general population, but like knowing yourself and really like being able to reconcile the implications of all those things, or where you have pain
Mm-hmm.
around that, or where you feel like you're holding yourself back from like living fully, like that's for everybody.
I'm just like, the fact that kids are getting to actually self-determine at such a young age, because children already know who they are. Children know who they are. It's just whether you choose to listen.
Well, and the internalization of the something about me is wrong happens so subconsciously, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no, I was in Disclosure hearing the father talk about um being so proud at the idea of his kid really having such a sense of themselves, and that being something to be proud of was I
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is almost upsetting to hear, because it's so different from any, I mean, I don't know, it's hard for me to even try and think about what being in touch with that would have even looked like for me, because I feel having grown up in the time and place when I did, I I didn't want to be gay, never mind
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't a thing, never mind being oh, I'm a feminine man, that was just was not but I
Mm-hmm.
that was not a thing, it was not a thing. And so
Oh
it's
yeah.
I'm very much I could have seen a path where, I don't know, for me, before I came out to myself, it came out of years of um moments of feeling euphoric and um empowered being a woman, but also just a lot of deep pain and disconnect, and
Mm-hmm.
I think I could have easily sort of stayed in this place of resentment and fear, and not, I just felt very I wanted something to make sense to me, and nothing ever made sense to me, and
Oh
there was just a
yes.
point where I had to kind of give in to that and be the universe is not going to give me an explanation. I just have to go with my impulse on what
Oh
is making me not feel like I want to die. And
yeah.
I'm glad that I gave up my need to try and understand things. And I know that it went along with so much other growth and so many other things that have allowed me to move through the world in a different way, that
Oh.
I'm just glad I got there when I did. At least when I did, better late than never.
Oh,
But
and that's the key. That's why it really, the longer in life it takes someone to transition, the more I'm happy to hear it. Because I know that for me, the moment I realized I was trans, it felt like 20 odd years of weight had been lifted off of my shoulders.
yeah.
And it makes me so happy that at no matter what age someone transitions, because no matter what, that weight is only building, and you deserve to have it off your shoulders.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that the only person who can do it is you. The only person who can lift that weight is you.
And
And
self-hate is really
mm-hmm,
detrimental to everybody in
ex-
not
exactly, exactly. And that's why it really, it touches my heart when I see the older people get, the more willing they are to transition, because I'm like, yes,
yeah.
I'm so happy to see that people are unlearning what society has pumped into us, which is like the horrible, toxic, cis het way of thinking.
On that note.
Oh, I love you, Sweaty. You have a beautiful rest of your day. You deserve nothing less.
I hope you do as well. I can't wait to see you, hopefully in person sometime in the near future.
Yes, very soon, hopefully. Well, don't get me the first round of vaccines.
Right. Yeah, well, we'll see how it.
Give me the like fourth or fifth round. Get some cis straight white people to try it out first. Honestly,
Oh, boy.
oh, sending so much love, okay, Sweaty?
Love you.
That interview literally made my entire week. When I tell you, talking to Sweaty really gave me some nuggets of wisdom and some nuggets of truth that really honestly gave me something really deep and beautiful to ponder on, that is always what I hope to get out of this show. And so I hope that some of you, or hopefully all of you, got something out of that you can take and channel forward honestly for the rest of your life, because the universe will not be giving us any answers, but the least that we can do is grow to ask some new questions, okay? And so, with that, I am going to take us into our final segment of this episode. It is a moment to look back, okay? And I just want to take you down memory lane and remind you that over the course of this year, a lot of people have finally been awakened to the fact that their voice is important, that their voice takes up space, and that their voice matters, and that their voice has the power to impact people in their community, their neighbors, and their loved ones. And so, what I want to do is have you look back over this year at all of the different opportunities that you had every single day to affect somebody's life for the better. And every single opportunity, I want you to think about whether you took that opportunity or not. And I want you to know that next year is no different than this year. You have the same unlimited amount of opportunities to affect somebody's life. You have the same amount of opportunities to do something good for a black trans person in your community. Damn, you could do something good for the entire black trans community, okay? So when I tell you your voice is important, I mean it, because every single day I see more and more people who realize that by making a simple choice, they can make somebody else sleep better at night. They can make sure that someone has a roof over their head, that someone has another meal to eat. And so I just want to remind you of your power. Never forget that you are powerful. Never let anybody make you think that you aren't powerful. And never make someone believe that you don't have the opportunity to make a difference in someone's life. And that life can as well be your own. So, on that note, I want you to have a beautiful rest of your day. I want you to remember you're powerful and that you have an obligation to use your voice. You have an obligation not only to yourself, but you have an obligation to every single other person who can't use theirs, okay? Never forget. Have a beautiful rest of your day and stay blessed, moisturized, and sanitized. And I will see you at the next Moment of Truth episode. Peace and love.